Welcome everyone to another episode of my Pro Wrestling Society podcast, and I'm gonna go over some controversial topics, like is Stone Cold's use of the Austin 316 uh, promo offensive, and here's my thoughts on it. I'm a Christian. I'm a Protestant Christian, and I don't think that what he did was offensive at all. Um, for this reason, like he points out how Jake the Snake Roberts, um, he said you sit there and you pray about such and such thing, and it didn't get you nowhere. That's not really an insult per se. I think that's it. He was just stating the truth. Um, and this is the thing about religion. He does make a good point, because in religion, especially Christianity, people they pull out these Bible verses and whatnot, and they pull out these prayers. They say these prayers, and they keep expecting God to somehow do all the work for them, and they don't want to have faith in themselves. They don't want to be confident in themselves. They don't want to put trust in themselves. They want God to do everything, and that's just not realistic. So I think that Stone Cold was trying to tell Jake the Snake Roberts that, which was a burn either way, but it wasn't what people thought it was. And then he says Austin 316 says, I think that ties into what the whole message says was behind, what I said about the prayers. Is basically saying that, I think his whole message was, what good is reading the Bible, praying, if you're gonna get beat, if you don't have any faith in yourself, and the other guy beat you as a result of it. I think that's the whole gist of what he was saying to me. Other people might interpret it differently. Other people might interpret it as saying he was saying that the Bible is a made-up book, that and that you can pretty much make up anything you want, like Austin 316 of a non-existent book. So that's their interpretation, and that's the great thing about wrestling, is that each person has his or own interpretation of a storyline or a promo or whatever. That's what I like about the art. And speaking of art, I'm going to go right into the religion, the use of religion inside pro wrestling. So where do I start? I mean, I've already started with that. So, what do I think about it? I think that it has its place in pro wrestling. I think that religion should be used in pro wrestling to convey some sort of artistic meaning or whatever. I mean, I really think that anything should be used in pro wrestling, be it religion, politics, sports, whatever. Because I feel like pro wrestling is a type of sports entertainment that sort of blurs the lines between reality and fantasy, and not just the reality and fantasy aspect of it, but also the um the taboo and uh the proper way of seeing things. I feel like it's pushed the boundaries of what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. Um, like, you know, the blood and stuff and the sex. I mean, the Attitude Era is full of that, you know, because before, wrestling used to be pretty much PG, and you know, with the blood and with, you know, with the hardcore wrestling and everything else that went on, that was taboo. Um, and it still is taboo. You got people saying that hardcore wrestling isn't wrestling. You got people criticizing um, the sex, the drugs, all the obscenities in pro wrestling. Um, you got a whole bunch of stuff that's controversial in pro wrestling. And that's the great thing about it, is that it's basically about self-expression, about expressing what you think, what your beliefs are. It's not just about wrestling. Um, but of course, there are bad ideas, horrible ideas, and a bad idea is just a bad idea, regardless of what it uses. So, um, I feel like some wrestlers have used religion, like Raven and maybe The Undertaker. I don't know, but and Stone Cold, but that's about it. I mean, I don't really see religion used that much. I think Sting used it. Sting uses it a little bit in his TNA promos, or did at least. Shawn Michaels, he used it in his one of his promos against the Undertaker before their match at WrestleMania started. Um, who else? Can't think of anybody. But yeah, that's it. I think that religion should be reinterpreted, especially in pro wrestling, um, to enhance storylines, to enhance characters. Um, you know, I think religion itself is the Bible is in itself being reinterpreted to somehow um, bring meaning to people's lives and today's society, even if the same interpretation wasn't held years ago. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not offended as a religious person myself, or actually as a spiritual person, rather, um, by anything in pro wrestling. Maybe some things, but very rarely do I get offended. Um, so yeah, I mean, what do you think? You think religion should be used in pro wrestling? What do you think of Austin 316's promo? You think it was right, or you think it was wrong, or he was going too far? What do you think? Leave your comments below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. Feel free to donate, and I'll see you next week.